Hello there, people of the internet. I have had quite a few commenters tell me that I need to make more content encouraging you guys that are watching this video to go out and basically make new firearms owners. We need as many firearms owners here inside the United States as possible, and of course, you guys actually have a lot more influence than me. Just me coming out here and making videos on the YouTube platform, that's not gonna necessarily do all that much. So one thing I do want to go ahead and say here is that you guys, you individuals out there, have way more power than myself whenever it comes to influencing the people that are around you. I don't have a whole lot of people that watch my videos, and yeah, I can go out and I can encourage them to, go to the range and whatnot, but for the most part, the people that watch my videos are people that already own firearms, and we're already in the gun culture. We're already doing our thing where we go out to the gun ranges and we do our shooting, or we like our guns, and we know our history, and there's just not much of a niche of people here on the platform from my videos that don't already own firearms and that don't already know what it is that they're doing. I do get some new people that come rolling through here, but these new people that come rolling through here are already looking into firearms. It is people like you that would be absolutely essential for convincing other people who are not looking into firearms to start looking into firearms. So I don't really know where to branch off with this video. I don't script anything. I just kind of hit the record button and start talking. But whenever it comes to firearms ownership here in the United States, I know that I myself have gotten quite a few people into firearms just by taking them out and showing them how enjoyable something like plinking or joy shooting can be. And I know that a lot of times if I break out a 22 long rifle of some kind, then they are just absolutely on board, because 22 long rifle, it's quiet, especially if they're using hearing protection. It almost sounds like a BB gun whenever you got earmuffs on or earplugs in or something like that. It's very quiet, basically zero recoil. But whenever you clink steel with it, or you hit soda cans with it, or you do something with it, it gives enough of an impact to be like, hey, that was really cool. I put a hole in that thing, and it was a really fun time. And it's also a really inexpensive way to getting a full day of shooting. Granted, 22 long rifle is definitely more expensive than it used to be. You can go out and you can burn through a couple boxes of 22 long rifle, a few hundred rounds, and it's not necessarily going to completely put you under. But taking somebody out, getting them to the range, and letting them have a good time, that is one of the absolute best ways that you could get somebody into firearms ownership. Get them accustomed to it and enjoying it. Go out and have a good time with something as small and minimal as that. A lot of times, whenever I have people plinking with 22 long rifle, oftentimes after the 22 long rifle, after a couple of sessions with that, and they get more comfortable and more enjoyed with firearms, I will bump it up to, say, like a PCC. As a matter of fact, I got my 9mm Hi-Point carbine PCC right here, and there's one of the ones that I will break out, and a 9mm is definitely more powerful than 22 long rifle, and it makes a bigger impact on your targets. But it's still not that much recoil, and it's still not overly expensive. You could still do quite a bit of shooting for not a lot of money with 9mm. So it's a really good entry level. Well, I say entry level, but that's not necessarily what I mean. It's a really good way to get people to enter the firearms ownership world. Now, after you have a couple of range sessions with them and they are enjoying themselves and thoroughly having a good time, if Christmas comes along, or if a birthday comes along, or something like that happens, and you want to get them something, then guess what? You can go out and get them like a cheapo 22 long rifle that they can go ahead and enjoy. I know that there's like revolvers and some semi-automatics out there on the used market that can be had for under $100. As a matter of fact, I've got several that I've got for under $100. And then there's ones out there, a vast, very large variety of rifles out there that can be had for under $150. So if you want to get somebody into firearms, then taking them out to shoot some 22 long rifle and having a good time, and then actually getting them a 22 long rifle so they can enjoy, invite them to the range a couple of times, have them bring their gun out, you will make a firearms owner of that person pretty gosh darn easily. I know that, as a matter of fact, I don't think I've had a single person where I brought them out to fire a 22 long rifle on the range. I don't think I've had a single person who has told me that they didn't like it. Granted, there are some people who like, bigger stuff, but those people are already into firearms. I'm talking about the people who are not into firearms. The new guys that I bring out, every single one of them seems to love the 22 long rifle, and that right there is, for all intents and purposes, the gateway drug for getting into firearms ownership. You break out the Woodstock 22 traditional looking rifle to where it's not scary looking and to where they don't freak out. And you break out the revolver that's in 22 long rifle to where it's not scary and they don't freak out. And then you bump them up to that pistol caliber carbine of your choosing to where it's still not that much recoil and still not that much bang. But you get a much more audible clink on the steel, and then they start going like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. And then you break out the things that maybe they're not necessarily going to be all that comfortable with at first. Like, for example, you break out like the AR, and they're like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that. And you're like, hold on now, calm down. There's a lot of similarities between this and that 1022 that you just shot. Here's the magazine, inserts here, just like on the 1022. Right here's your charging handle. It's in a different spot, but goes back, goes forward. Now you got a round chambered, sends them lead down range. They shoot it, figure out that there's a severe lack of recoil with 223. It's not the scary detriment that they once thought, and every time they pull the trigger, it goes bang. 22 long rifle, every time you pull the trigger, it goes bang. It's not going to just send a wall of lead down range. Yeah, there's some really good ways to get people involved in the firearms community. Of course, even if you don't want to bump them up to an AR platform, just getting them enjoying the sport of using firearms is probably one of the best things that you could do, because that sport of using firearms translates into, I know how to use this firearm and I will use it if I need to defend myself. And then we have situations like 2020 and 2021 where we have just terrible situations of cities burning and people panicking over viruses and whatnot, and it's just a bad time. And then now these people are looking at, hey, I know how to use these firearms, maybe I should consider using them for defensive purposes if I absolutely need to. Yeah, we could definitely have quite the influence whenever it comes to firearms ownership. And I say we because I mean we. I can only do so much. Whenever it comes to me, I have to go out and find like individuals to get them involved in firearms ownership, because those individuals are not going to find me. And that is where you guys come in as well. You guys have to go out and find individuals who are not into firearms, but maybe you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go out to the gun range. I want to invite you along. You want to come along with me? And you never know. You might have somebody say, you know what? I've never shot a gun. Hey, don't worry, I'll teach you. And next thing you know, you got yourself somebody out there on the gun range, and they're like, wow, this is really cool. I want to get myself one of these. Well, guess what? I actually have a couple of these Heritage Rough Rider revolvers. Let's go ahead and just slide you one of those. There you go. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. You enjoy that. Okay, of course, follow all your laws and do whatever it is that you're going to do. I know some places don't allow for sales like that. Here in the state of Florida, that is a private sale, a private gift, or private something. That's a private exchange of private property. So speaking of private property, I'm going to go ahead and send some lead down range with my 9mm carbine here. This right here is probably one of people's favorites, simply because lack of recoil, because this is a nice heavy carbine, and the sights on it, the aperture sights, just make it absolutely a joy to be able to hit basically anything, especially at the 40 yards that we're currently at. This is normally about the range distance that I keep people at. We're under a tree, it's nice and shaded, we got a nice breeze coming along. This is just a delightful gun range to use, and this is very easy to make hits with. All I did was shoot that grill. Yeah, it's easy to shoot a grill whenever you are only from 40 yards away. But this right here is definitely a crowd favorite. I've got some sort of Marlin 22. I think it's a Model 70. I could be wrong about that. I got Marlin 22. I got Henry 22, lever action and semi-auto. I got the ones that break down. I got 1911 22. I got Heritage Rough Riders. I've got all sorts of stuff for all sorts of people. So depending on what their comfort levels are and what their ability to grasp on knowledge is, then that will determine what it is that I decide to break out. Like, I know sometimes, actually here's a really good example now that I'm thinking about it. I got one guy who's a camper, not a gun guy though. He just goes out and he does camping and whatnot. Well, I have one of those Henry 22 long rifles based off of the AR7. And it's one of those systems that breaks down and folds up and completely gets inserted into the stock. And I was showing it to him and he's like, wow, this would make such a fantastic little backpack gun. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why I'm showing it to you. And sure enough, this guy who's into camping and hiking and whatnot does not own any firearms whatsoever. Like a week later, he went out and he bought himself one of those, actually from a gun store that I recommended. That's not too terribly far up the road from me. But he went out and he bought himself one of those because I showed it to him. And so that is +1 whenever it comes to firearms owners. And it's little things like that that you and I can do, you watching this, you and I can do on a regular basis to get people into firearms ownership. So yeah, take that into consideration. Next time you go out to the range, if you're looking for a range buddy or something like that, or you want to just show something off, like, hey, I got this really sweet customized 22 long rifle, I got this really awesome thing over here that, I don't know, insert your choice of whatever it is that you want. And you might be able to get them involved into your, what is that? You might be able to get them involved. I'm gonna kick that thing away from me. It's moving. You might be able to get them involved into your range session and get them enjoying firearms. And next thing you know, there's another firearms owner. Now, actually, one of the things that got me into firearms the way that I am is the fact that I just love history. Like, that is probably my big thing. Like, I'm sure you guys have noticed a lot of my firearms are historically significant. A lot of my firearms, like, shaped the absolute foundation that mankind has had on this planet. Things like the Mauser action has absolutely 110% changed the fundamental landscape of the countries that we know nowadays. It's just incredible, the amount of history behind those things. But if you have somebody who's a history nut, then maybe you'd be like, hey, you know how you're into, I don't know, French history? Well, guess what? I have this Chassepot Gras conversion rifle right here, which I happen to have. I made a video on it not too terribly long ago. But I have the Chassepot Gras conversion right here, and this is what those people were carrying in that time period that you're currently studying. How would you like to check it out? And then he's like, oh my God, that's so freaking cool. And the next thing you know, bam, you have yourself another firearms owner, because you'd be like, hey, yeah, this company over here is currently selling it. Why don't you go get yourself one? Hang it on your wall. There you go. You got yourself a firearm. Hey, you got yourself a firearm. Why don't you get yourself a modern day French rifle that you can actually go out and shoot because the ammunition's available? Oh, what a great idea. And then you got somebody who's collecting French guns because they like French history. And I mean, that's just one specific example, but it's little things like that that you could use to make connections and get people involved in firearms ownership. Okay, well, hopefully this video was, I kicked that thing and now we have a bunch of ants on the tree. Hopefully this video was enough for you guys, because like I said, there were commenters telling me to try and get more people, to make more people involved in the gun community. So all you have to do is go out and get people involved in the gun community. Just convince them to go to the range, and I think that you would be surprised at how much it is that they enjoy it. Or even if you don't bring them to the range, even if they're like just a history nut or something, and you show them something in your office. Like, I know that I actually have quite a few firearms on display, like really awesome looking firearms that are designed and placed out specifically because people enjoy those firearms. Things that are, oh God, that's a hornet. Where did you come from? Die. That's not good. Is that what's moving under this wood? Do we have a hornet's nest over here by my recording station? No. that could end up being really bad really quickly. Well, I'm gonna go explore that. Thanks for watching, folks. You guys go off, have a fantastic day. Like, subscribe, share. Do what you can to get people at least leaning towards firearms interest, even if it is from like a historical standpoint, even if it is from, you know, hey, you know what would be fun? 22 long rifle. I got some empty beer cans out here. Let's go have a blast. I'll see you guys later. Good luck. Godspeed. Insert whatever outro here. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.